Have you ever had someone pull a fast one on you while traveling? That's what happened to us in the fashion-forward city of Milan.
You're listening to Travel FOMO, a podcast for people self-diagnosed with wanderlust. Welcome to Travel FOMO. I'm Jamin Howden, and I'm here with my hottie wife, Hillary.
Thanks for reading the script so well. That's awesome.
If you have been liking what you've heard so far from us, take a second to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast from wherever you're listening.
Oh, man, I love that. Well, we have been taking our listeners across the pond to England and Italy, and today we are talking about our 24-hour stop in Milan.
Pack your bags. We're headed for Milan.
Let's go, guys.
Yeah, it was awesome being there. Like, it was really short, so
Yeah.
we were just there like 24 hours.
Right, yeah.
And I think at one point we'd even talked about like flying in, just getting straight on the train and going to Rome, because that's where, like, that was the intent of us going to Italy, was really Rome.
Right.
But we ended up working Milan in as a stop, and I'm really glad that we did. It ended up being awesome. I loved it there.
Right, yeah. I didn't know, I didn't really have a lot of thoughts towards it. Like, I was kind of like indifferent. I thought it would be much more of a fashion-centric stop for us, and it really wasn't. It was all the culture, and we jumped into a lot of other stuff, which I loved. I loved everything we did in Milan. So
Yeah, it was really cool. So we ended up there by way of airplane. So we flew in. We actually flew from Liverpool.
Right.
So we had just been in northwestern England. We'd been at Houghton Tower and then Lancaster. If you didn't listen to the last couple episodes, go back and catch those. There's some cool stuff there. But we dropped off our rental car at Liverpool, hopped on a plane, and flew over to Milan. It was a great flight. It was like 3.5 hours, like nothing bad. We did Ryanair, so it was really affordable. Mm-hmm. And in and out of the airports pretty easily, and then train into kind of the city center of Milan. And
which, on that note, the city center, the train system is really easy, really helpful, and I believe I downloaded the app, and it was a no-brainer, super easy, not a big deal.
It really was. And given that we were like going to be in Italy and everything was going to be in a different language and all of that, I think we had a little apprehension about like this might be a little tougher to get around, but it was great. It was great. The whole experience was.
Right.
But we checked into our Airbnb, and then that night I remember we were really looking forward to dinner.
Yeah.
Because it was like my first time in Italy.
Right.
So kind of my first opportunity to eat Italian food in Italy and really do it upright. We were excited to be there. Like, we had just left England where it was a little cold and damp, and now we were in like more of a summer environment in Italy. All excited for dinner. And we had looked online and found this place called Papa Francesco's.
Yeah.
A really cool restaurant. They had like
highly recommended.
Yeah, everybody on Yelp loved it. And they have this like thing that they're famous for, and that they bring out tableside this huge wheel of cheese, put fresh pasta on it, and stir it around. I think they pour a little bit of alcohol on there and light it on fire so that the cheese melts, and they get all this fresh cheese on the pasta, put it right on your plate, and then serve it to you. And they kind of make a big deal of it. Papa Francesco himself is the one that comes out and does it. It's like it's a whole thing, right? Like that's their deal.
Yeah. Super entertaining. I mean, charming. Like, yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah. So we were super excited about it. I already knew that's what I'm ordering. So like, I'm not even going to need a menu. I know, like, I want the Papa Francesco song and dance around the pasta with a wheel of cheese. So you call and you make a reservation.
Right.
And
which was kind of crazy because they're like speaking all Italian, and I could tell I had the right place, but they only spoke Italian, and we still managed to get a reservation. But yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I remember that now. Like, yeah, you were like, it was a little bit of a process to get the reservation over the phone, but you did it.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, we got to wait a little while for our time for our reservation. So we get ready and we walk around some. We finally end up in the area where Papa Francesco's is. It's almost time for our reservation, and we walk up to where it is, and there's all this like kind of outdoor seating. So there is a restaurant, but there's a lot of patio space with a bunch of tables out there.
Right.
And so we're kind of
Which
hoping,
is really common in Italy. And so you see that a lot along the streets, along that street even. You saw a lot of outdoor eateries, you know.
Yeah, and we were hoping for an outside table anyway.
Yeah.
Like it was a great night, like beautiful weather. And so as we're walking up, a guy walks up and it's here for dinner, and I'm like, yeah, what, like Papa Francesco's? Yeah, come.
We have reservations.
Yeah, I go, we have reservations. And he goes, yes, come this way. Here's your table. And then you said, like, we're Hillary, and I think you said our reservation time, like 8:00 or whatever. Yes, come here, sit. And so we sit down at this table, and I kind of think to myself, I'm like, it's odd, like we got ushered in very quickly.
Very friendly, very quickly. It all
Right.
happened so fast.
And I hadn't really said the name on our reservation, but it was clear when we called that you had to have one. And I was like, I
thought
don't know.
we must be the obvious English speakers that
Right,
called
yeah,
in earlier.
like the strange people that called earlier. So we sit down, and it's kind of this odd feeling of like something's a little bit of a miss.
Right.
But we're like, we're in a foreign country, so maybe we're just overthinking it. We order a bottle of wine, and they bring out the bottle of wine.
We're looking over the menu.
Yeah, we've got the menu, and the menu looks strange. Like I'm having trouble finding the dish that I knew was like the secret dish, and I'm like, you would think that they would like really pump it up on the menu, like it would be like prominently featured. This is their deal. And
there's no reference to Papa himself, which I thought was odd too.
Right. They open our bottle of wine, and suddenly we realize that we are not at Papa Francesco's.
No.
We are at the place right next door to Papa Francesco's.
Close enough to smell his wheel of cheese.
Yes.
But not eat it.
Right. We are so close that I can physically touch a table from my seat. I can reach over and touch a table at Papa Francesco's. But the thing
you can't order that food.
Yeah, the thing I can't do is order the food or interact with Papa Francesco. And so we end up ordering food, and we're sat there the whole time, and I feel like everyone else ordered that pasta dish from Papa Francesco. So we've got this whole restaurant it was just to my left, you're right, full of people. They're all celebrating. Every 2 minutes, Papa Francesco is coming out with his card and this massive wheel of cheese, doing his little dance, and everyone's clapping and cheering and high-fiving and having the best meals of their life. And meanwhile, we're stuck next door, like having been swindled into this place and ushered in by this skeevy guy that works next door. And this place, they had set it up like to do this. Like,
yes.
That's the thing that really got me too, is I
Right.
realized this is their game, because they, like, the awning on their restaurant looked exactly the same. The tables that they had, like, they bought chairs and tables that were like Papa Francesco's.
Yep.
Their place settings were very, very similar. Like, they had done everything that you could tell.
The entrance to the patio section was literally, it almost looked like one entrance to one restaurant. And in
Right.
reality, it was one on the left, and then right there was the other entrance, and it all looked like one big entrance, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it was not.
Yeah.
And they pulled the old switcheroo on us.
They just happened to be fast enough to get to us right before Papa Francesco's team did.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I ordered lasagna that I'm pretty sure was like Stover's, like oven baked, like frozen lasagna, probably from the United States, shipped over there, and that they threw in the microwave.
That's funny.
Do you remember what you got?
I do, because once I realized the error, I was like, okay, what would be just a really good go-to. And I'd already been reading up about Milanese risotto. And so that's what I ended up getting. And it was fine. It was fine. It wasn't like, I've had better Italian meals in America. So that's like the only thing. And I was just like still stewing. I was pretty upset, and I was really kicking myself for sticking around and not telling them, no, y'all were dishonest, we're leaving.
Yeah, we should have just done that. I think I don't know why we didn't. Honestly, at one point toward the end of our meal, I saw someone walk up, and Papa Francesco's out there, and this person is walking up off the street, and they're like, Papa Francesco's? And he's, sì, Papa Francesco. And and they go, are they like, this is the place? And see, these. And they point to the tables kind of in the section where we are in the other, like the Imposter restaurant. And they're like, are they all the same? He goes, no, tobacco shop. Just with like the most disgusted look on his face. And I'm like, yep, we're at the cigarette shop instead of Papa Francesco's. And at that point, I was ready to just like turn tables over and like yell at someone. I really want to tell you about this great new thing I found. Every time I bring it on a trip, I'm so glad I did. It saves money, makes life easier, and I'm better looking because of it. The only catch is, I haven't found it yet. So if your product can make our lives better, let's talk. Because we want to know and we want to share.
All that aside, we do know how to eat. We do know what good food is like. And we found a really good gelato shop nearby.
Yes, we did.
And we saw a lot of it even in Rome. I can't remember the name of this chain, but it was really well done. And the line, we got in line just in time, but the line just kept growing all night long. And it's so fascinating with Italy because everyone eats there so late. And everyone goes out for dessert after that. And it is just a long night is what it looks like. And so, it was pretty late at night, and we just had the longest line in this going outside of the gelato shop. It was just going all the way across the street. And it was really entertaining to see all those people. And just the liveliness of the nightlife in Italy is so fun. And so that was one of my favorite moments, really, was, us just hanging out in this chocolate shop and seeing all the people come through, and then making our way to the Duomo, which all of this is right there. So
right.
One, we highly recommend Papa Francesco's. Didn't get to eat there, but I do believe, according to the reviews, it's great. Just don't accidentally eat next door.
It's amazing. You should go, and you should post and tell us how good it is.
Yes, we'd love to know. And then the gelato shop was great. There are lots of great gelato shops. But all of that is then right next to the Galleria and the Duomo, which are huge, and you're gonna hit that up if you're in Milan anyway. So what we didn't know is how much we would enjoy seeing the Duomo at night.
Oh, it was incredible, wasn't it?
So cool. It's amazing how it just, all of that architecture just popped. It was very well lit, very well done, and it was a very lively place to be. And so between that and the dark sky and then this majestic, very well lit cathedral, it was just really amazing.
Yeah, it looks so cool at night. It the lights they have on, and it's white anyway because of the marble that it's made out of, and it was just so cool. And just a massive square in front of it, just full of people, which was cool too because everybody was there just hanging out and
just sitting on the
enjoying
steps
the
of
night.
The Duomo. And I honestly, the more I think back about the different Duomos I've seen, it's my favorite by far. It is very beautiful. And then we kind of made our way through the Galleria, and of course it's all lit up at night, and you really need, if you don't know about the Galleria, you need to look it up because it is where a lot of famous designers have different shops, and of course Milan is very well known for the fashion world, and so it is very iconic to take photos inside the Galleria. And so we kind of made our way through there, and it was there's a lot of music. We're hearing all these people. People are bumping into us. There's just so much happening. And come to find out, in the very center of the Galleria was this huge, they turned it into this huge dance floor. And there were all these couples dancing and dancing around. And it was packed. It was so festive, so fun. And yeah, that really was a fun way to end the night, was to get to be around all the liveliness of Milan at night.
Yeah, that was so cool to see. And like dancing like that in the US you don't really see, like outside of like a wedding, you don't really see anything like that, where it's just this big, like right in the middle of the Galleria, all of these people. I mean, like 100 couples, like there were a bunch of people, like dancing, and it was really cool. Like you said, very festive, and a great first night in Italy.
Yeah, that was awesome. So then the next day, we got to see even more of Milan.
Yeah, absolutely. We checked out of our Airbnb because we were only there one night, and we ended up going to the train station and finding a locker to put our bags in, because we had booked a walking tour for the next day, and so glad that we did that.
Yeah, man, that it's so easy to do, and I think people sometimes they don't know exactly what to do with their bags, but there are lots of lockers you can rent just for a few hours, and you can leave your bags there, and that was perfect for us because we kind of had to pack for two different types of climate. We had the sunny skies of Italy, and we'd just come from the colder weather in England.
Yeah. So we drop our bags off. We take that walking tour, and it was a tour of the Duomo. So we got to have a guide tell us about the Duomo, kind of explain it, and actually take us into it and walk us through some of the art inside of it. And I remember, like, one of the things that still sticks out to me, and really, like, from the whole trip, like England, Italy, like on into like not only Milan but into Rome and the Vatican, like all of it, was seeing the sculpture of Saint Bartholomew flayed. That's in and it's kind of tucked back in the corner.
Yes, amazing. It is tucked away where you would think people wouldn't even know it was a big deal.
Yeah, but it is an incredible statue. And so the story behind Saint Bartholomew is that he was persecuted. He was an apostle, and and he was persecuted for his beliefs to the point where he was actually skinned alive. And so the artist portrays him essentially after being skinned, like he's standing and he's draped in what was his skin, and you can see it. And actually on the back of the statue, so he's wrapped in what was his skin, is his face.
Oh, that's crazy.
And it, like, that statue just blew me away. It was incredible.
That was truly amazing. In fact, I would recommend that everyone pause for a second and just Google Saint Bartholomew flayed. And it's a sculpture, like he was just saying. You really should take a look at it, and better yet, check it out on our Instagram account or our social media pages, because we'll post a picture that we took, because we were just it is jaw dropping, and I can't believe I've never heard of it before.
Yeah.
By far, one of the most amazing pieces of art that I have seen somebody capable of doing.
Well, at that moment, I really appreciated being on a tour, because I think I would have seen it and thought, wow, that's an incredible sculpture, but that just like that man looks strange. Like, I don't know why he looks like that. But having someone explain what it is and what's going on, then you realize, like, wow, it's incredible. It's really incredible. So I definitely appreciated being on that tour for that part of it.
Yeah.
And then also in the Duomo, they have, and you don't get to see it, but they point it out to you, like they have a nail from Jesus' cross that they keep there in a special place, like it's up high, and they point to, like, you see that little red spot up there, that's where it's kept, and they bring it down every so often to let people see it, but only.
Do you think it's really a nail from?
I mean, I don't. It's hard for me to believe that that someone like held onto that nail just like pragmatically, that like someone went back to the cross and got the nail. Like because if you're, if you read the story of the Bible, like the biblical account, all of his disciples have kind of fled. All of his followers believe that he has died. Like they're kind of crushed. So I don't see any of his followers being like, hey, let's go get the nails off of the cross. Like I don't see any of them wanting to keep it. I also don't see any of like the Roman soldiers, like they're just executing another person. I don't see them keeping it. Like the religious leaders that had him put to death, like I don't see them wanting to keep. So I don't know how it would have been preserved. So I don't.
Yeah.
That's tough to say, but
right. Yeah. I
yeah.
just had to ask.
But the tour guide was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
we went,
great tour guide.
Like,
and the tour was not just the Duomo.
Right.
It was really hit up several places within the city.
Yeah, they took us through the Galleria, and there's actually, it's kind of funny. There's that in the tiles in the floor. There's a bull, and if you spin around if you put your heel on the bull's place.
Testicles.
And spin 3 times.
That was a really long pause.
I was trying to think of like the best word for it, but you like cleaned it up with like a more medical term, so that's great. But you put your heel on it and you spin around 3 times, then you'll like leave and you'll return back like happier and healthier or something like that. It's a local legend thing, and it's funny because so many people do it that they actually like consistently wear holes in the floor, and it has to be replaced. And I think if you look it up, you can find that kind of stuff online and see people doing it. Like it's just kind of funny. But then we went and saw the castle, and what was the name of it? Castle Sforzesco, right? Something
Yeah.
like that.
No, I can't.
But it was a massive, huge castle that we got a tour of and got to see, which was really cool. Like, I was just overwhelmed by the size of it. Like, it was something else. And then the tour ended with you go to the chapel where the Last Supper is.
Yeah.
And that was something really cool in and of itself.
Yeah. I feel like people have different opinions about the Last Supper. Like some people think it's more amazing than they expected. Some people are a little let down by it. I had just had a coworker that was telling me about it and talking about how it's inside a room. It stands by itself. It's not like in some kind of museum with all these other paintings. And in my head, I'd always imagined that it was on a canvas,
right,
framed.
That's what I thought.
In a huge museum. And so, but then you realize, oh no, like the Last Supper stands alone, and it's on the wall of a chapel.
Yeah.
A tiny chapel that's not that impressive.
Right. It's not like the Sistine Chapel or something like
Right.
that with everything else around it. It's this small chapel, and it's there, and it's huge. Like, it's painted across the entire wall, which I didn't realize, like, the size of it.
Oh yeah,
too.
true.
Like, was so impressive, and our tour guide was great about walking us through it and through all the symbolism, like through each apostle at the table, and like the symbolism of what's going on with them and what's around it. And you got time to just sit and reflect, and you walk into this chapel, and it's kind of a dark chapel where it's lit, and it's one wall, it's a whole wall, and they've got benches set up there, and people just kind of sit and take it in. Mm-hmm. And it's just it's incredible. And the story behind it, to know that like at one point French soldiers were staying in there and were like shooting at the apostles, basically. At one point someone decides they need a door to go through that wall, and like cuts a door into like the bottom part of it, and you can still see where the door was, that like the bottom third of the middle of this masterpiece is gone.
Middle of the Last Supper.
Yeah.
Somebody cut a door into it. I feel like I'd never heard that story before.
No.
And it blew my mind. And you just think about who that person was and like how stupid they'd feel later.
Right. Yeah. Like, who signed off on cutting a door into the masterpiece?
Right.
You can walk around. You're walking around. Like, that's the deal.
Oh man, that's funny.
And then they have pictures of the way they preserved it during some bombings in World War II, that they had like stacked sandbags over it and things like that. And they go into how they restore it kind of systematically, and it was incredible.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I was like, well, we're here. We may not come back to Milan, so like we should probably go see it. But I was so glad that we did. So glad that we went ahead and took that walking tour of not only like the Duomo and the Galleria and the castle, but like the Last Supper. And you have to get tickets to it, and they're timed. So if you do it as part of a tour, like they kind of work all that stuff out for you.
Yeah.
Which is really convenient, but it was incredible.
Yeah. And it can be really hard to get reservations to the Last Supper too, because I think it's like a certain time of month that the tickets go on sale, and you've got to do a mad dash to get them then. So there is a lot of planning that has to go into it if you actually want to see the Last Supper, but I feel like it's highly recommended. It really surprised me, just so many elements about it. The fact that it's more of a building, it's a mural on a wall, I thought was really fascinating. And so to preserve the painting, you have to preserve the building itself, which is really just kind of fascinating. And overall, I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, and it is hard to get those tickets, but it being hard to get those tickets means that when you do get to see it, your experience is so much better, because it's not just this like cattle herd going through. It's you with like a smaller group, and you get to spend time in there and really see it and look at it, and it makes it that much more special in my mind.
Yeah, definitely. And that was kind of wrapped up our time in Milan. It was a real fast trip, just 24 hours there in Milan, and then we were jumping on a train and headed through Tuscany to Rome. Another instance in which I got a real good nap in and really regretted that later. You told me about how beautiful Tuscany was, and I was a little bummed about that.
Sleeping on a train.
That's part of the story. That's real life. But you guys should definitely tune in next week to hear about Rome, though. There's so much to say about it. And then after that, we actually have a whole episode on Vatican City, just because it really deserves some standalone attention on its own. But that, my friends, is Milan.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us for this episode of the Travel FOMO podcast. Don't forget, we want to hear from you, your stories. You can tell that St. Bartholomew Flayed and The Last Supper really impacted us. So what are some works of art that you have seen that have really moved you?
Yeah.
That have like made a difference? Like, post on social media and tag us. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. And that's where we'll be posting pictures of our own. We'll post those pictures that we took of St. Bartholomew, and maybe we'll even sneak in Papa Francesco. And so you can find him, and you can let him know for us that we're coming back someday, and he better be ready.
Oh my gosh. Oh man, we actually literally did get some footage of Papa Francesco, and we were just so bummed, but he was still so entertaining. We just had to grab some footage of our own.
Yeah, I still can't watch it without crying.
Well, if you guys enjoyed this podcast, help others find us. You can do that by taking some time to rate and review and subscribe to the Travel FOMO podcast from wherever you're listening. And then you can also learn more about us at travelfomopodcast.com.
And next week, we're going to Rome. You can't miss that.
Absolutely. Say no more. Life is short, guys.
Wander well.